Oh, basically, nice job snagging first.
Welcome back.
Good morning. Hey-oh. Really excited that I got that vertical stream stuff for Twitch working, because it just adds another like level of discoverability on Twitch. Also, Weekend Tacos, thank you so much for that follow over on Twitch last night. Appreciate it. After I was offline. What's up, Dan? Good to see you. How's it going, man? Oh, look at that leaderboard. Look at that. Base Guru's putting in work. Rub I get in. Before the notification. Yeah, and I'm already 15 minutes late. I would have started at 9, but I was fairly late getting started. Back from the future. Well, how's everybody doing this morning? Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. It's midweek, middle of the week. I wish I had better news to talk about today, but I'm looking at the titles, and there's not a lot that I found within the last 2 days. It's really just bad news all around in the gaming industry, supposedly, apparently. A lot of layoffs to talk about. I guess it's layoff season, but it seems like it's always layoff season. Steam Deck leaked. New Steam Deck? I haven't seen that. But it seems like we're always talking about layoffs on the game news, and they were just a lot. Steam Machine. Oh yeah, we talked about that on Monday. And then there was like a correction issued. I guess we could try to see. I couldn't find an updated article. If you have one, shoot it to me on Discord. But we did talk about it being close to $1,000 on Monday. Yeah, it's 1,000. Somebody said, some guy on Twitter was like, it's actually just this. And everybody's like, where's the source? Like, where do you get that from? Who are you? You know, it's like, come on now. We can't just be making claims about stuff like this. It's all leaks so far, right? Like, there's nothing official, but it'd be nice if it was. All right. Well, let's shift her into news mode here. As we do. I gotta switch the playlist too. I won't be able to pay attention with those jams. Okay. News mode is active. News mode is active. Desktop is on. And we're recording, so we can put just the news on the up on YouTube. All right, let me think about how to open this. Well, we're 14 days into 2026, and we're talking a lot about layoffs today. It seems layoff season is in full swing, but when is it not layoff season in the games industry? It seems like we're constantly reporting on this kind of stuff. But let's dive in. Welcome back to the Game News Show. I wish I had better news to talk about today, but we're starting off with stock info. Nintendo share prices have dropped 33% in the last 5 months in Japan. So that's kind of a bummer. And Uncertainty over the potential price increases may have contributed to the decline. That's the thing, right? Like, there's a lot of uncertainty in the industry, and component shortages are getting worse thanks to AI. But let's see what Video Games Chronicle reports on regarding this. As noted by GameSpark, Nintendo share price dropped to 9,950 yen, about 62 US dollars, on Tuesday, the first time the price has dropped below 10,000 yen since April 2025. Back in August 25, the share price reached a high point of 14,795 yen, the highest share price ever recorded for the company, but has notably dropped since then. While the reasons for a company's rise or fall in share price can only ever be speculated, it appears likely that the record high in August 2025 was due to the Switch 2 smashing sales records in Japan and in the US following its June 25 release, which that all makes sense, right? The subsequent drop then can likely be attributed to such factors as a slowing of Switch 2 sales over Christmas, albeit still comfortably outselling its predecessor at this stage, and a lack of killer apps 6 months into the console's life. I don't know. DK Bonanza kind of felt like the best launch title. Mario Kart World was a little underwhelming, but I think Mario Kart World will continue to sell and, you know, be attached to the system in like a bigger way. I don't really know how to word that. But you're right. There's no Mario game. There's no Zelda game that is like, hey, you got to buy the Switch 2 for it. So, you know, that's coming. That'll be around soon. Shareholders will also doubtlessly be concerned about the potential future of price increases as a result of this increasingly high cost of RAM and ongoing tariffs, most notably in America. Gotta say, the RAM issue seems to be a little more pressing because if our government's reporting is to go by, the tariffs are doing really well for government funding. As opposed, you know, I'm not a fan of the price increases, and obviously the tariffs are the costs are passed on to the consumer in the end. But the RAM shortage, you know, at least with a tariff, I could still buy the product if it's really expensive. But the high cost of RAM, like, there's no one else making RAM, right? So if like Nintendo can't buy RAM because there's no one making. There's not enough RAM to buy. They can't make any more Switches, which means there's no product to sell, tariffs or not. So I think the RAM shortage, the component shortage, is going to be a bigger issue. Last week, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa said the company was keeping a close eye on Switch 2's profit margin, as the increase in memory prices and international tariffs remain an ongoing issue in the industry. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They're quoted, we procure from suppliers based on our medium to long-term business plans, but the current memory market is very volatile, he told Kyoto Shimbun via machine translation. There's no immediate impact on earnings, but it is something we must monitor closely. When asked if Nintendo could increase prices depending on its future procurement costs, Furukawa said that was hypothetical and he couldn't comment. Meaning, yeah, that'll definitely happen when it comes down to it, but we can't say anything right now because it'll spook investors and buyers into buying the Switch right now and it causing a huge shortage. Which, I don't know, may be favorable in the short term, but gross in the long term. While the decline in Nintendo's share price over the past 5 months in Japan is stark, it should be noted that it follows a similarly stark rise. Nintendo's share price had never risen above 10,000 yen at any point in its history before 2025, and sat around 2,400 yen when the Switch launched in March 2017, even during the height of the Wii's popularity. The company's share price is never greater than 7,000 yen. It's interesting. As it currently stands, then the company's share price is still higher than it was ever was before 25, but a 33% drop over 5 months will be a cause of concern for shareholders regardless, and has the potential to keep dropping if the situation isn't improved. So, you know, are we worried? No, but it is kind of a sign of where things are in the industry. Computing in general is kind of in a rough spot because, you know, consumer gear can't be made if there's no RAM. And then other components are also supposedly in short supply as well. And what can we do? It's just it's just a shortage, and we'll have to figure it out. Hopefully this doesn't last too long. I'm not concerned about Nintendo or the Switch 2. They're gonna do well, but to see Nintendo share price drop when they're doing well is concerning, and it's all external things that are affecting them. There's nothing with the company that's concerning. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from here. But let's move on. Animal Crossing New Horizons Update 3.0 goes live today. There's really nothing else to say here. There's just, if you have Animal Crossing on the Switch, 3.0 is live. And if you have the Switch 2, the $5 Switch 2 version update pack is here. That's reaction to what could happen, not what has. Right. It's all predictions. But yeah, I'm excited to check this out. I don't know if I will on stream, but I do want to update. I'll probably update to the Switch 2 version because it's $5. That doesn't hurt anything. All right. Eidos Montreal is developing an unannounced quadruple A game in Unreal Engine 5. This is a weird statement to put out there, right? What is quadruple A? What does that mean? What is quadruple A? A LinkedIn profile from an Eidos Montreal employee has revealed that the studio is working on an unannounced quadruple A game in Unreal Engine 5. The finding was posted by LinkedIn scouter Timmer222 on X and corroborates what I've heard about the project. In December 25, I posted to X that recent Eidos Montreal layoffs were connected to a project codenamed P11, which has been reducing its headcount as of late as it heads into beta and eventually launch. P11 is Eidos Montreal's new IP, which, according to sources, has been in development since around 2019 and has faced significant setbacks and issues along the way. It's understood that the project has seen hundreds of millions of dollars invested, which, unsurprisingly, would warrant the quadruple A tag. As mentioned on the Insider Gaming podcast, the game is an open-world action-adventure game in third person. Funnily enough, I only know about the game because I was perusing, finding out more about the game last year for a book I'm working on about canceled video games, because it looked surprisingly familiar to the canceled survival game Wild by Wild Sheet Studio. The similarities led me to believe that the IP had been bought by Eidos Montreal, but to my knowledge, that project is entirely dead, and P11 is a new IP with some striking similarities. As for when P11 will be revealed remains to be seen, but it's believed that the game will be ready to be shown later this year if things go well. Hey, I'm all for new IP. If it's not a sequel or a spinoff, let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, Dan, I'm sorry I missed your message. Plus, overall console sales are down as prices have gone up and not down as they normally are. Right. Yeah, the whole market's just turned on its side at the moment. But I'm all for new IP. Hopefully, Eidos can pull it off. The only thing I wanted to say about the article here itself is we have X and X without formerly Twitter in parentheses. And I kind of appreciate that. Are we finally at the point now where we're just comfortable calling it X and not X formerly Twitter? You know, it's X. Twitter's not coming back as far as we know. And if it did, it'd probably be a whole separate app. But anyway, this is kind of cool. I'm excited to learn about what P11 is. Hopefully it's a good game. Third person open world sounds maybe kind of dated this day and age, but if it's being worked on actively and isn't a dead project, then maybe there's hope. You know, maybe it'll be good. All right, let's move on. To no one's surprise, and I literally said this Monday when we looked at this kit, Lego Pokemon Kanto badge collection being resold for big money. Scalpers are having a field day because you can't buy this. This is a gift with purchase. You can only get it for free if you spend money on the Lego store for the expensive Lego Pokemon sets. The Lego Pokemon Kanto badge collection is already being resold by scalpers on eBay for close to $300. For those unaware, Lego finally unveiled the new sets from its Pokemon collaboration. Features 5 sets you can get your hands on, 3 featuring popular Pokemon like Pikachu, Eevee, Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise. There are 2 more sets that can't be purchased conventionally, and one of them is being resold for exorbitant prices. The set in question is the LEGO Pokemon Kanto Badge Collection, and it cannot be purchased traditionally online. The only official way to get your hands on it is to purchase the $650 LEGO Pokemon Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise set, with the badge collection offered as a gift with purchase. Spotted by Dexerto, new eBay listings for the LEGO Pokemon Kanto Badge Collection has surfaced online with prices ranging from $180 to $298, and many have already purchased it. To put things into context, the LEGO Pokemon Kanto Badge Collection, golly, this name is long, I'm tired of reading it, only features 312 pieces, whereas the cheapest set from the collaboration, the Eevee set, features 587 pieces and only costs $60. The LEGO Pokemon sets are scheduled to release on February 27th, 2026. Here's how interested readers can pre-order them from official channels. There's another set that can't be purchased conventionally, Mini Pokemon Center, which can only be grabbed through 2,500. Oh, you gotta have LEGO Insider points, so 2,500 LEGO Insider points, which I didn't see that one. I'm kind of curious what that looks like. We might, if somebody reminds me after the show, we'll look it up. I'd like to see what it looks like. So yeah, should anyone be surprised by this? No, we literally saw this coming, from 10 miles away. Scalpers see Pokemon and Lego and have a field day. Scalper's gonna scalp, Now, I'm curious because these are all pre-order items. If you sold one on eBay, but you don't have it, guaranteed, what do does your account get banned? This is why selling pre-orders is stupid. How do you resell this? You don't have this in hand. There's no way for you to have this. But yeah, we saw this coming. It is a cool set. I'd like to have it. The badge set is cooler than the other ones, in my opinion. But the big set is like the showpiece, right? That's the one everybody wants. It is a nice set. I'm not saying none of them are bad. Lego did a great job at designing some cool looking Pokemon stuff. The prices are so all over the place, and it's all so expensive. Yo, Dan, thanks for the bits. Dude, thank you so much. All right, let's talk about layoffs, starting with Ubisoft. Hits the Division and Avatar studio massive entertainment with layoffs. Survey bits just came in. Nice. Around 55 roles could be affected. Studio remains focused on the future of the Division. Ubisoft has announced a proposed organizational restructuring at the Division and Avatar developer Massive Entertainment, which it says could result in 55 people losing their jobs. Proposed restructure affects Massive's Malmo and Stockholm studios and follows completion of a voluntary leave program launched last year and a finalized long-term roadmap, which Ubisoft says has provided clear visibility into the structure and capacity required to support the two studios' work and sustainably over time. Sustainability? Anyway, Massive's focus continues. Let's start over. Massive's focus going forward will be the Division franchise, including development of a third game and continued support for the second, as well as the Snowdrop engine and Ubisoft Connect. The Division 3 was announced in 2023, but nothing from the game has been shown publicly. Recently, executive producer Julian Garrity claimed that the Division 3 will have as big an impact as the Division 1. In addition to the Division, Massive is working on a game project focused on innovation and technology, which will be revealed at a future date. In an email to staff, the publisher said, "These proposed changes are forward-looking and structural. They're not related to individual performance, recent deliveries, or the quality of work produced by the teams. The long-term direction for the studios remains unchanged, and we will continue to serve as the global home and lead to the Division franchise." This is was this like a direct translation? I don't know, this is weird. Move forward with an unannounced innovative tech project with a refined team setup and play a central role in the development of Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect. The proposed restructuring will begin with a focus on individual agreements, and impacted employees are being informed directly and supported with care and respect in line with local regulations. The massive restructure comes amid a turbulent period for the Assassin's Creed publisher, which late last year opened a new subsidiary part owned by Tencent, Vantage Studios, which now oversees Rainbow Six, Assassin's Creed, and Far Cry. Tencent holds a 25% stake in the new subsidiary and will act in an advisory role with final creative and business decisions resting with co-CEOs Christophe Derenez and Charlie Guillemot. Ubisoft claims it's shifting toward a less centralized operating model in an attempt to give creative teams more ownership of the brands they work on. So yes, it's a small layoff, but a layoff nonetheless. Love the Division 1, bought 2, but never got further than an hour into it. I played a little bit of the first one, kind of that way. I had fun with it, but I didn't play with friends. I probably would have played it more if I did the multiplayer side. I played with people. Might go back and take another look, given how you try to play more games than just Overwatch. Hey, same, dude. Supposedly, we talked about it on Monday, the definitive edition of the Division 1 has been rumored. So, you might come back just in time. I want to replay the first one. I never finished it, never finished the story or whatever. But yeah, it'd be worth a second look. Especially to show the studio like some kind of solidarity. Hey, I'm playing your game because I like you. Play it again, it was fun. Nice. But yeah, let's move on. Let's get all the bad news out of the way. Meta, which, I mean, come on, it's Facebook. It's not going to be good news. Meta has closed several studios, including Splosion Man Studio, Twisted Pixel, and Asgard Wrath's Sanzaru Games. Developers have started reporting they have been laid off from the company. Meta has closed several of its VR studios, according to developers who have announced they have been laid off. The New York Times reported on Monday that Meta is planning to cut around 10% of the employees in its Reality Labs division, which works on products including the metaverse. Reality Labs is also home to Oculus Studios, the division of Meta that runs its first-party game development studios. These layoffs appear to have now started, and the game studios appear to be part of the cuts. Andy Gentile, a designer at Twisted Pixel Games, posted on X that he had just lost his job as part of the closures. Hey look, they also didn't put formerly Twitter. They're just calling it X now. Video gaming for you, what's up? I hate all this bad news. Dude, same. It's such a bummer. But we have to talk about it. We have to face the bad news with the good news. I posted on X. Let's see, where's this at? Update, closures confirmed. Meta's confirmed closures of Armature, Sanzaru, and Twisted Pixel. Yikes. We said last month we were shifting some of our investment from Metaverse toward wearables. This is part of that effort, and we plan to reinvest the savings to support the growth of wearables this year. Because the glasses are selling way better than the VR headsets. I've just been laid off here. It appears the entire Twisted Pixel game studio has been shut down. Sanzaru Games too. This was corroborated by Ray West, a level designer at Sanzaru, who wrote on LinkedIn, "Well, as many will hear soon, several meta game studios were closed today, including Sanzaru. It was an amazing team of powerhouse talent, and I'm really glad to have gotten to know everyone there, but onward, I am open to work." Twisted Pixel Games was founded in 2006 and was responsible for critically acclaimed Xbox Live Arcade titles The Maw, Splosion Man, Miss Splosion Man, and Comic Jumper. Those are all pretty fun games, too. I think I played all of them. You hate VR? It is what it is. The studio was acquired by Meta in November 21 and released Marvel's Deadpool VR on MetaQuest 3 last year. I think sales were really low, and they couldn't justify keeping the studio open because sales were low. Sanzaru Games was also founded in 2006 and worked mostly on ports and remasters of Sony titles like Secret Agent Clank, The Sly Collection, and God of War Collection. In 2019, the studio released Asgard's Wrath on the original Oculus Rift before being acquired by Facebook before it became Meta to work on Asgard's Wrath 2, which was included as a free launch game on MetaQuest 3. According to New York Times report, Meta's Chief Technology Officer, Andrew Bosworth, who oversees Reality Labs, called for a meeting on Wednesday, urging staff to attend in person and calling it the most important meeting of the year. It's been reported that Meta plans to reduce its focus on VR devices and the metaverse, as it pivots to focus on other divisions such as AI research and its wearables division, which includes smart glasses and wristband computing devices. This all lines up with the wearables and AI are like the boom right now. The Meta glasses are selling really well, and VR still has not really proven its worth for most people, right? I mean, you can like VR individually, but I think mass market adoption just has not occurred, and almost all the games feel like tech demos. as opposed to like a killer app. Like I don't need an Oculus or a Meta Quest VR headset to play, those exclusive games, because those games just aren't that good. They're neat. They're neat experiences. I had a Quest 2 for like 6 months. I played it. I played it a lot, and I got to the point where I was like, I'm just not feeling it. It's not my favorite thing to do. I feel really isolated when I'm playing on it. I'd rather just play on my TV, sitting next to my kid, and we're playing games together. And that's just me. Like, some people may really enjoy VR. It's fun, but it's just always going to feel gimmicky because of the way it works. And I think that's where I'm going to leave that. But not surprising. Bummer for people losing their jobs, though. Again, as always, and the same with the people losing their jobs at Ubisoft. We hope they find work, land on their feet, and find better employment. All right, this would kind of hit different because Larry Herb, Major Nelson, formerly Major Nelson over at Xbox, hit by Unity layoffs 18 months after joining. If you guys remember Major Nelson over at Xbox, he ran the podcast, did a lot of marketing. He was big during the 360 days. They did a lot of stuff with his face on it. Really great guy online. He would answer questions on Reddit every so often, and answered a few of mine for like getting started in the streaming and content creation space. And I'll always remember those interactions with him forever. Dude's a great guy, so it sucks that he lost his job. He got laid off after going over to Unity. But let's read the article. Larry Herb, better known by many as his gamertag Major Nelson, has announced on social media that he has been struck by a wave of layoffs at Unity. In 2024, Unity laid off a whopping 25% of its employee base, a move that reportedly cost the company more than $200 million. It was later reported that the firm's CEO netted millions of bonuses mere months after the company let go of hundreds of employees. As we read the same thing happening with GameStop on Monday. Major Nelson is moving on to new things. In a post on social media, Major Nelson announced his recent departure from Unity. As many of you have been with me during my career in gaming, I'd like to share personal news. Like many in the gaming space recently, I've been laid off from Unity. After leaving Microsoft, I joined the Unity team in 2024. I'm proud of the goals my team and I accomplished in just 18 months, and I am grateful for the creators and teams I had the chance to support. Now I'm excited to explore the next chapter. I've had invigorating conversations over the past weeks with companies in tech and non-tech spaces to discuss partnerships. I love what I do, but I also believe change is necessary. I'll let you know where I go from here. So Major Nelson stepped down from his role at Microsoft after 22 years back in July 2023. He announced a hiatus from employment, stressing he'd be taking time out to enjoy family life before diving into the next chapter of his career, which took him to Unity's doors. Unity, on the other hand, has had an awful few years. In 2023, the company laid off hundreds of employees, dismissing 3.8% of its workers just before Christmas. Months later, another 25% of all of its employees were made redundant. The CEO scored millions of bonuses and rewards, and in February 25, the entire behavior department team was cut from the company's roster. In 23, the company came under fire after announcing controversial pricing changes that would have seriously impacted developers using the engine. Regardless of that track record, Larry Herb harbors no ill will toward Unity. It's just a bummer, right? Dude has a lot of industry experience. I've followed him on social media for a long time. And it was just kind of a weird layoff to see, but Unity apparently laid off other people, so it's like more layoffs. Good luck, everybody. Let's move on. Here we go. Non-related to layoffs, but still related to the industry. After shutting down Crucial, Micron says it's trying to help consumers by shutting down Crucial, the one brand that helped consumers buy components. Back in December, Micron announced that it was shutting down its consumer memory and storage brand, Crucial. At the time, the company said it was due to the AI-driven growth within the industry. Now, just over a month later, Micron is addressing the decision to shutter the budget-friendly brand in favor of powering data centers and large AI companies. In an interview with WCCF Tech, Micron's VP of Marketing, Mobile, and Client Business Unit, Christopher Moore, was asked about the decision and the consumer backlash that followed. Moore says that the perception may not be exactly correct from his point of view, the perception being that the company turned its back on consumers to favor large companies and the continued expansion of data centers. No, that's exactly what it is. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me at all. Let's see. He says that the decisions being made are done to help consumers around the world. Don't believe that for a second. Micron's still involved in the consumer market. So I would never want to tell someone what to think or that they're wrong, but our viewpoint is that we're trying to help consumers around the world, he said. We're just doing it through different channels. We still have a very sizable business in the client mobile markets. We're also, of course, servicing our data center customers. What's going on right now is the TAM and data center is growing just absolutely tremendously, and we want to make sure that as a company we help fulfill that TAM as well. I don't know what TAM is. Somebody tell me what TAM is. Never mind, we'll just keep going. Moore said that it's still supplying LP DDR5 to companies like Asus and Dell, which he uses to defend his point on helping consumers. He said the company is in contact with every single PC brand out there to supply memory modules and holds a large portion of the consumer supply chain through the OEM model. So it's not all going away, just most of it went away. That said, Micron cannot ignore the demand coming from AI right now. Regarding the continued shortage of memory and storage, Moore believes that things might not get better until 2028, at least on Micron's side. They're working on building new facilities, including a new facility in Idaho scheduled to open mid-2027, as well as a facility in New York, but Moore says that everything won't be up and running until 2028. In the meantime, consumers might have to stick with their older machines a while longer as prices continue to soar throughout the market. What do you make of Moore's comments regarding Micron, Crucial, and the state of consumer PC parts? Here's what I think. The AI bubble is going to burst, and all of these decisions, these companies will have already made their money, and so it won't matter. The consumers are just kind of left holding the bag at the end of the day. You know, I'm having to make sure my PC stays up and running for the next few years because I can't buy RAM right now. I don't plan on buying RAM, you know? So I found it interesting. We're shutting down our industry, our brand that consumers engage with, and that was our consumer channel to help you consumers. This is like when I was using Mint Mobile back in the day. And they were like, hey, we're ending support for this. I was using Windows Phone at the time. And we're ending support for Windows Phone to better serve our customers and help people. It's like, well, you're not helping me. You're not better serving me. You're just ending my ability to use your app and forcing me to consider a different platform. I don't use Mint Mobile anymore, but that's because the whole brand, I think, went under or got bought. Now it's like QuickBooks or something. It's weird. I don't want QuickBooks on my phone. What do I look like? A businessman? Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. I just don't like when this kind of statement comes out. You know, it's like Walmart going, hey, we're going to not sell products anymore to better serve our customers. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? You know, it's like, what does that mean? We're not going to do the thing to better help you. It's like, but the thing you're doing is what's helping me. So, I don't know. Weird corporate doublespeak, and I think the average person is falling for it less and less these days. You were clearly in the minority. Look here, all right? Windows Phone was a great mobile OS, and it was one step of the many that have led me to completely distrust Microsoft here. Not that I ever trusted Microsoft, but Windows Phone was awesome. All right, moving on. All right, we got an update. Paramount is suing Warner Brothers over their Netflix deal. Paramount continues to put up a fight over the pending sale of Warner Brothers to Netflix. On Wednesday, the company announced it was suing Warner Brothers in a continuation of its attempt at a hostile takeover of the company. The lawsuit comes just days after Paramount's latest bid was rejected again by Warner Brothers Discover. According to the lawsuit, Paramount claims that the Warner Brothers Discovery Board misled shareholders and concealed financial analysis. In a letter to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders announced the suit. Paramount CEO David Ellison said that the company has failed to include any disclosure about how it valued the global network's stub equity, how it valued the overall Netflix transaction, how the purchase price reduction for debt works in the Netflix transaction, or even what the basis is for its risk adjustment of our $30 per share all-cash offer. He continued saying that shareholders need that information to make an informed investment decision on our offer. So why is Paramount fighting for Warner Brothers? On December 5th, it was announced that Netflix and Warner Brothers Discover were in agreement to sell the Warner Brothers side of the company to the streaming giant as part of an $82.7 billion deal. The sale would include only include the company's streaming and studios assets, including all of Warner Brothers games. Netflix made an offer per share, and since the agreement was announced, Paramount has continued to try and force a sale to them, leading up to and after the announcement of the Netflix deal. Warner Brothers Discovery has rejected at least 8 Paramount offers. The Warner Brothers Discovery Board has said that Paramount would need to offer more cash and less debt for it to be reconsidered. As far as why Paramount would want Warner Brothers, it's pretty obvious. Video games aside, which even Netflix called minor in terms of the deal, includes rights to a number of brands and IPs such as Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, and more. Oh my gosh, these quotes are getting longer and longer. Our objective from the moment we approached WBD was for a collaborative negotiation and a successful transaction that would be a win for both companies, both shareholder groups, and all stakeholders, Ellison wrote. We remain perplexed that WBD never responded to our December 4th offer, never attempted to clarify or negotiate any of the terms in that proposal, nor traded markups of contracts with us. They don't have to. There's no legal obligation for them to. How bitter can they get, dude? Indeed, like they are not happy. Paramount is losing their mind. Even as we read WBD's own narrative of its process, we're struck that there were few actual board meetings in the period leading up to the decision to accept an inferior transaction with Netflix. And we're surprised by the lack of transparency on WBD's part regarding basic financial matters. It just doesn't add up, much like the math on how WBD continues to favor taking less than our $30 per share all-cash offer for its shareholders. Both Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery have declined to comment on the lawsuit. I don't think this lawsuit's going to go very far. On what basis does anybody have to look over an offer from anybody else? I could just say no. Like, hey, you want to sell me? It's like somebody goes, hey, do you want to buy a new cell phone? No, I don't. And I don't have to give you any reasons why. I just don't. Maybe it works different at like the corporate, board level, but it just seems like, Warner Brothers is like, no, we're not selling to you, and that's our right. You don't have to buy from us. We're whatever. We don't want your deal. And now Paramount is like losing their mind. It's crazy. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. I just don't think this lawsuit's going to go anywhere. It's definitely, if it does go anywhere, wouldn't that be a shock that it results in Paramount just owning Warner Brothers because they failed to disclose some information, and the cost of litigation and everything else it's just easier to sell at that point. It's interesting. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Small update for that, though. Small update. All right. I think we got one more topic to look at here. Yes. Over on PC Gamer, Steam is winning with its ease of use, GOG's new owner says. But he's not interested in picking a fight. I think much can be done in GOG without losing its core values around and the way it operates. So CD Projekt sold GOG to founder Michael Kaczynski at the end of 2025, and he sees room for improvement but isn't planning any major changes. Let's see. Is this the same article I was going to read? There's a lot of words. I don't know if I want to read the whole thing. What I do appreciate is that he's not viewing Steam as a competing platform, just an alternative platform. And GOG does their own thing by being DRM free and focusing on like older titles, abandonware and such, while offering newer titles. Let me see if this is the article, because my big thing was, yeah, it's not this one. I picked up the wrong one. Anyway, I had read some stuff earlier about them exploring how Windows is Windows is in a weird state with the push for AI and everything, and even GOG is looking to expand into Linux support. And if we could get, streaming software and games running on Linux like natively, I would switch. I would legitimately switch off of Windows and run some Linux distro that's super lightweight. Because I think even NVIDIA is exploring like proper Unix Linux support now, which they haven't done well in a very long time. And it's notorious how like running an NVIDIA card on Linux is a challenge. It may have gotten better over the years. I haven't looked in a long time. But the reason I wanted to point out GOG not considering Steam like GOG not trying to compete directly with Steam is that they're both moving towards Linux support and better Linux support, which is going to be huge for the industry. And I don't have the article pulled up, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But my hope is that as Windows continues to just fumble the bag on AI and everything else that they're doing to make Windows 11 really good to now really terrible for the consumer side, that us streamers and gamers will just move over to Linux and call it a day. Stick with the platform that runs everything the best and don't worry about everything else. So that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this midweek game news episode. It's Wednesday. I gotta get to work now. I'm gonna end the recording, but if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for being here. Be sure to leave a like or a comment on the video. Let me know what you think about any of these articles. Unfortunately, it's layoff season, so bad news abounds. Hopefully we'll have some good news next week with the Microsoft Direct thing. So yeah, thanks for being here. Dan, have to finish work in 30 minutes. Have a good day. You too, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. We're gonna find somebody to raid out to, and then that's where we'll leave it. All right, who's live? Let's see. Let's do Dvoraya. All right. I love you guys. God bless. Have a great day. I'll see you guys again tomorrow night. We'll play some Pokemon ZA. We're going to do some Mega Dimensions DLC progress side questing in ZA around Lumios. And that's about it. All right. Y'all have a great day. Love you. See you later.
Imagine your child not having a decent pair of shoes, socks, or a warm coat. Subaru and its retailers have provided critical items